You know that feeling, right? You're standing in the middle of a lively conversation, you're smiling, you're nodding, but inside you are completely and utterly lost. For Elena, this wasn't just a now and then thing. Every single time she tried to listen to Spanish, it was like hitting an impenetrable wall of sound. This super fast, seamless river of words she just couldn't break through, no matter how many vocabulary flashcards she memorized. It felt like she was trying to listen through thick glass, and for the life of her, she couldn't figure out why. Before we begin, if you enjoy stories like this that kind of unravel a mystery, please follow the channel and share this. It genuinely helps this page grow and lets me create more stories just like this for you. So Elena, she just assumed her listening skills were the problem, that she just needed to try harder. But the real issue, it was something way deeper. Turns out, her brain was using the wrong map to navigate the sounds of Spanish. It's kind of like trying to use a map of New York City to find your way around Tokyo. The streets, the rhythm, the entire logic is just different. And to truly understand Spanish, she was going to have to draw a completely new map from scratch.
Okay, so how do you even begin to draw a new mental map for a language? Well, Elena's first big breakthrough was realizing that the very foundation of her map, the rhythm, was completely off. Let's dive into that hidden rhythm.
This right here is the absolute core of the problem. See, English is what's called a stress-timed language. I want you to think of it like a heavy drum beat, where we really stomp on the important words, and then we just kind of rush through all the little ones in between. But Spanish, it's syllable-timed. And that's way more like a flowing river, where every single syllable gets almost the exact same amount of time.
Let's see this in action. It's pretty wild. In English, you could just say, parents buy books, right? 3 main beats. But we can cram a ton of little words in there, and the sentence gets way longer. The parents will be buying all the books. Okay, the number of syllables just jumped from 3 to 12. But our English-speaking brain, it still pretty much hears those main beats. We just sprint through all the unimportant stuff.
But in Spanish, yeah, that rule just goes right out the window. That same idea in Spanish has 16 syllables, and it gets 16 distinct beats. Los padres habrán estado comprando todos los libros. Every single syllable gets its moment. Now, to Elena's brain, which was desperately searching for those familiar, stompy English beats, this constant, even almost machine gun-like delivery just felt impossibly fast.
And this is where it gets super fascinating. Science actually tells us Spanish isn't faster. A big study in 2019 looked at 17 languages and found they all transmit information at pretty much the same rate, about 39 bits per second. So the difference isn't the speed of the information, it's the rhythm of the delivery. Elena finally realized she wasn't missing words because they were too fast, she was missing them because she was listening for a beat that was never, ever going to come.
So once she corrected the rhythm on her map, Elena could finally start to navigate the current itself, learning how all the individual sounds actually connect to form that river of speech. First up, the vowels. In English, let's be honest, our vowels are kind of lazy and all over the place. The A in cat, father, and ago are all totally different sounds. But in Spanish, oh no. The vowels are pure, they're crisp, and they never change. It's always A, E, I, O, U. That's it. This absolute purity is what gives the language its crystal clarity, but only if you know to listen for it. Mastering these clean sounds was like learning the 5 primary colors of the language.
Next came the real game changer, connected speech. See, Elena, like most of us, had always pictured sentences as beads on a string, just a bunch of separate words spoken one after the other. But that's not how we talk, is it? In any language, words flow, and they actually melt into each other.
And this slide illustrates it perfectly. When a word ends in a vowel and the next one starts with one, they just link up. So me encanta un libro isn't spoken as 4 separate chunks of sound. In real, flowing speech, it becomes one smooth phrase, me encanta un libro. The neat little spaces Elena was listening for, they just weren't there.
And the same exact thing happens when a word ends in a consonant and the next one starts with a vowel. That consonant basically jumps ship and joins the next word. Mis amigos becomes mis amigos. For the very first time, Elena wasn't just seeing the main highways on her mental map. She was finally adding in all the little side streets and alleys that connected everything together. That wall of sound was starting to get some structure.
But even with this new map, something was still missing. Every so often, that wall of sound would just reappear, thick and confusing as ever. She'd figured out the rhythm, she'd learned how the words connect, but there was one final crucial piece of the puzzle that she just couldn't see. And it was the most counterintuitive piece of all.
This one question changed everything for her. I mean, think about it. She had spent hundreds of hours listening, trying to consume more and more Spanish. But the real breakthrough wasn't about taking more in. It was about putting something out.
And this is it. This is the climax of her whole journey, the motor theory of speech perception. It's a wild idea that suggests that when we listen to someone talk, our brain isn't just a passive receiver for sound waves, it's actively simulating the mouth, tongue, and vocal cord movements it would take to make those exact same sounds. We literally understand speech, in part, by referencing our own ability to speak.
To put it simply, listening isn't a one-way street. It is a powerful, powerful feedback loop. By physically practicing the unique rhythms, the pure vowels, and the connected speech of Spanish, Elena wasn't just training her mouth. She was training her brain to finally recognize those patterns when she heard them out in the world. She was completing the final, most detailed part of her mental map.
This realization just completely flipped her whole approach on its head. She stopped being a passive listener and became an active imitator. She didn't just listen to Spanish podcasts anymore. She started talking along with them, trying to mimic the exact rhythm and flow.
So her new toolkit was super simple but incredibly powerful. She actually got a metronome app on her phone to drill that syllable-timed rhythm over and over. She started shadowing native speakers, trying to match their pronunciation and cadence perfectly. She would deliberately practice linking words together until it felt natural. And she perfected those 5 pure vowels until they were just second nature.
And slowly, but with this incredible certainty, that wall of sound began to change. First, it started to have doors. Then it had windows. And pretty soon, Elena realized she wasn't standing outside the conversation anymore, desperately trying to peer in. By teaching her own mouth how to form the sounds, she had finally taught her brain how to hear them. She was, at last, becoming part of the conversation.
And that right there was the secret that finally unlocked fast Spanish for her. The ultimate shortcut to understanding wasn't just to listen more, it was to speak better. Because as it turns out, the fastest way to learn to listen is to find your own voice. If this story moved you or made you think differently, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, and follow the channel for more stories like this.